Hello, guys. I'm Philip, and welcome to episode 9 of London Street Photography Diaries. I'm starting off my street shoot in the proximity of Chalk Farm Station. I'm on the bridge going over the railroad. As I mentioned earlier in the previous vlogs, I love aesthetics of bridges, trains, railroads, stations in general. So this is very fitting since I'm trying something new today, a new technique, and it's really good to be in an environment that inspires you when you're doing something like that. Today I'm going to practice double exposure photography. For people who don't know what it is, double exposure photography is simply a combination of two exposures in one image, which are combined in order to get an interesting effect. So my camera, Fuji X-T30, actually has a feature of double exposure, and it is set by just turning a knob, as you saw it in you actually saw it in the intro. Not very well, but that's my GoPro's issue. Couldn't focus, but you saw it. I was turning the knob, went double exposure. That's it. I never really used this really, and I assumed it was going to be hard, and it was. You'll notice photography today wasn't as spectacular as you expect from the best photographer you know. So I had to think of many things, of course, uh, which I usually don't have to think about. So finding a fitting or complementary second exposure after I taken the first one was the hardest part. For that reason, double exposure in Photoshop is much easier. I done it a lot of times. It's very easy since you have 100% creative control. You can do anything with the photo. So this is the hard stuff when you have it on the camera and you just do it. So basically, how it works on this camera is goes like this in the following way. So you take a picture. If you're happy with the picture, you press OK, and then you take another picture. The camera distributes exposure of both and merges it into a JPEG type of photo. So that means you either get both photos and then the merge kind, you just get one photo. Very simple, and not a lot of space to make a mistake. Really, you don't get a raw file, you just get a JPEG, and that's it. So you can see that I mostly combine portraits or silhouettes of people in the first exposure, and then I was placing them in an environment I found fitting. So that was my little solution for this challenge I gave myself. However, I had a lot of fun doing this since it's always interesting to explore a different technique and it makes you better as a photographer, which is just my opinion at least. Don't take my word for it, try it yourself, do whatever. In the beginning, so like you maybe noticed, the first photos were kind of like overexposed, so that's why that's because of the thing I decided to shoot automatic. So quickly after that I switched to manual, because as you're combining the pictures you want to have the freedom of changing shutter and aperture between shots, since it gives you more room for creativity. I found that you don't really want a perfect exposure when doing this, since you want to combine low and high exposure and oscillate between depth of field. You get more variety and more options. And also another thing that's really beneficial when you're doing something like that is having a zoom lens. You have When you have a zoom lens, you get more variety with your shots than when you have a prime lens, because you can change focal length, and so additionally get a better result in the end. It was Today's shoot was actually a short outing since I got frustrated really fast, uh, because I just wasn't happy with the photos I was making. It wasn't too much. Maybe it was just me being low on inspiration. So basically, I made the trip from Chalk Farm all the way to about Camden Town Station, and then I was just going back the same way. I was going back the same way I was going forwards. I was going back, which is not something I usually do because it's kind of boring to just see the same thing. So it was a late afternoon, which is perfect for photography. Obviously, everyone knows that because of the golden hour, whatnot. On top of that, it was a really beautiful day, and I noticed that on beautiful days I do really good photography when it's very clear, and maybe because of my mood, and maybe because everything is very clear and looks better. Uh, but I think I find it easiest to the easiest to do good photography on either a sunny day or a rainy day. So anything between is very mundane, and that's kind of standard in London. So mundane, bland. I'm talking about weather, of course. Is very standard in London, so it's very easy to lose your inspiration when something is repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. So you you kind of get used to stuff being the same. But when it's a bit difference, when you get a bit difference, when you get a little bit salt in your porridge or whatever, you taste it. This is so much better, but it's actually the same shit. But you see differently from different perspective. So basically, weather changes your perspective, in my opinion. So also a big disclaimer for this video. I'm putting this on the end, and I apologize for that. I really tried, but I haven't managed to find the moments where I took all the pictures. So I apologize for that. Hope you guys are mad. It was really hard to find because it takes two shutters to make a single photo of double exposure. So it was kind of hard to just just find a moment where that happened. But wherever, like, I just some of the photos I just put in randomly, some of the photos are placed very well, but doesn't matter. uh I hope you enjoyed the video. So that's all what matters. So I ended up session continuing from Chalk Farm towards Primus Hill. I wanted to take advantage of one of the probably the best view in London at a golden hour. So I decided to do a couple of photos over there. And in the end, I rewarded myself with pomelo. I bought at a ridiculous price at a really posh store near Chalk Farm Station. So it was a really good day of doing something out of ordinary. Uh, Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in another episode. Thank you, and I'm out. PS, subscribe for more.